Hello, today we are talking about the female core and specifically how to help slim and trim the waist. And if you have ever been pregnant, then you may be aware that for many of us, our rib cage expands and flares out. And quite often, a lot of women that I speak to feel like they kind of lose their waist after having a child. And there are a few exercises that we can do to help this. And it's not the stereotypical things that a lot of us think of. So I want to share these with you. I'm going to first share a couple things to avoid and then what to do instead when it comes to slimming and tightening, specifically the waist. And yeah, a little bit of flattening the belly too, but a little more about the waist today. So let's get into the first thing to avoid, which is crunches, okay? Crunches for a lot of us, especially if our core is not in tip-top shape, is one of the worst exercises we can do because it causes abdominal bulging and coning, which actually puts stress and strain on the abdominal wall. If you have any splitting or diastasis after having a baby, then that just actually exacerbates it and makes it worse. So avoid crunches. Instead of crunches, doing a simple bird dog is one of my favorites. I'm going to show it to you right now on my mat because for a lot of us, we can do this one without placing a big strain on our core, but also specifically on our back and our posture as well. And those crunches for a lot of us are just not a great place to start. So you're going to come to all fours. And then imagine drawing your hip bones right at the front here, these two bony parts towards one another, and drawing your rib cage in. And from that place, you're going to extend one arm and the opposite side leg, and then come back down to center. And your goal is to maintain a flat lower back. There's no shifting around, and you're just really slowly extending and coming back to center while maintaining the long spine and the core activation. So I know for me, when I, pre-baby, that felt like the easiest exercise in the world, but it actually became so much more challenging for me to do correctly post-baby. So that is one that I love and recommend you try. And a lot of the exercises that I'm going to be sharing with you today are straight out of the Yoga Burn Trim Core Challenge. It's a 15-minute follow along from home core shaping routine that you can do on your own time whenever you want. I have linked it for you, okay? Now, let's go on to the next thing to avoid, which is just doing generic workout classes, just scrolling to find a random core workout or finding one on Instagram. This doesn't take into account where you're starting from, and it often doesn't build on a strong foundation of properly activating the core. For a lot of us, this area is just not strong and we can get injured. We can, like I said, cause more strain and more dysfunction because we're not able to properly activate the correct muscles. So I highly recommend picking up something like the Trim Core Challenge, which is, if it's less than the cost of going to one boutique yoga class in the city, and you're gonna get a full 8-week program plus all the bonuses. And it's going to guide you step by step. That is what I suggest you do instead. Build a strong foundation and then gradually increase the challenge as your core gets stronger and as you get more control and you're more familiar with your core. Now, the third thing that I want to talk about, which is really specific to the rib cage, that you should avoid is just doing a bunch of oblique movements, because a lot of us think, okay, if I want to pull all this in, our internal and external obliques wrap around and come through the center and kind of go diagonal and across the body. So we'll just do like bicycles, side planks. All of that is great, but we need to be doing our breath work alongside all of that. That can be a stomach vacuum, that can be 360 core control breath. This was something that I did a lot while I was pregnant and postpartum early on as well. And we're gonna try it right here. And what it's going to do is help activate the muscles that are directly pulling in your rib cage to help draw this area in. As women, most of us naturally have a smaller rib cage than our pelvis, right? But we want to work to pull those muscles in so that it all cinches in through this area. So put your hands right here on your ribs like this, or you can even loop your thumb around the side, whatever feels better for you. As you inhale, expand into your hands. Do you see my hands move out? How much they just moved out? Let's try that again. Inhale, expand into your hands. Exhale and breathe all the air out and feel as if you're zipping up something tight coming down right here. And I can really feel my abdominal wall activating all of these oblique muscles. But what we forget is a lot of us don't work on the expansion and the contraction. You want, whenever you're doing a movement, to get both the length and the strength. And that's another thing that a lot of us forget is we just work our abdominal wall, like we just do a bunch of core work, and we don't work our back, or we don't work our obliques. We need to work the core as it is. It's called the core, like the core of an apple. We need to work it in 360 degrees. So that's why the exercises that work on our posture and our back and creating length in the core are equally as important as creating strength in the core. And that's another area where a lot of core yoga, core videos or core programs fall short, is they really do just focus on your core and they forget about the obliques and the back of our body. I mean, how much better does my core look when I'm like this as opposed to when I'm slouching and rounded and not standing tall and proud, right? So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, not just with me, but with hundreds of thousands of women who have done this 15-minute follow along from home routine. It is one of the best at really helping to cinch in the waist, flatten the belly, and create that long toned yoga core that isn't blocky or bulky and just feels feminine and strong. And it's not just about how it looks. I mean, of course, most of us really aspire to have a flatter tummy and a trim core, and that feels great, absolutely, and it looks great. But I mean, it's also so amazing to have that strength that allows you to carry all the groceries in one shot, that has that strength that allows you to go, if you want to do a CrossFit class or a marathon or any of that, to know that you have a strong core, allows you to pick up your child and grandchild and run around and do all of those things. So there's so much more to it, and it's not really stuff that I can explain in one little video, but tap the link I've placed for you right around this video. Head on over, check out the 15-minute trim core routine. I am so excited to get you started on this. If you don't have it, it's one of the best that you can add to your Yoga Burn library. So be sure to check it out. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Big hugs, lots of love, bye-bye.